It's Amanda, and I am here with the builder of this green home, Sy Safi. Hi, Sy.
Hi.
Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, what makes this house so special?
That's a pretty loaded question, Amanda, but there's quite a bit that makes the house special. I'd say since we've been doing design and construction for a very long time, we listen to a lot of what people like and dislike about homes, and so a lot of the things we hear a lot about, some of the complaints about a house is like an upstairs that might be a little too hot. In the summer, very hard to keep cool, costs them a lot to cool.
I'm very familiar with that.
I think we all are pretty crazy. We all share a lot of the same challenges with homes and buildings, but that's one of them. A basement that might be too cold in the winter, and kind of moist and a lot of moisture and dehumidifying. It costs a lot to heat it. Leaky, drafty windows, allergens, high energy bills, quality maybe of construction. So those are a lot of things that are challenges. So what makes this house special, I'd say, is that we've addressed all of those challenges we typically deal in a home, in a building. And I think that on top of that, we've gotten a lot more benefits out of addressing those challenges too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this house is called Su Verde,
yes.
Correct? What does that mean? Where does that come from?
Okay, so Su Verde it's Italian for about green.
Okay.
And so this house is basically the architectural style of the home is an Italianate style. So we thought, let's just say this is an Italianate style. It's about green.
And it's a green home, right?
So exactly. And we thought Su Verde sounded really cool.
That does sound very nice, very fancy. So can you tell us like a few of the features that kind of make this house green?
Okay. Well, it's interesting because when we think green, a lot of times we just think maybe energy efficiency. So green in this sense, it's very broad, and we took the approach of health and wellness in spaces for this home. So that's a green aspect. When thinking of health, we know that we spend about 90% of our lives indoors, and we know that also the EPA has done studies on that. Indoor air quality is 3 to 5 times worse than outside air. So we're like, okay, how do we address that? And so we've sealed up all the cracks in the home. This house basically is airtight. And we were able to insulate the home to our climate zone that we're in. We're following Passive House, with this.
What kind of certifications does this house have? Like, it has to do with LEED and the well building standard. Can you tell us a little bit more about what those mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So we followed quite a few programs because we wanted to be able to kind of put the best of the best in the home. So we're following LEED, Leadership in Energy Environmental Design by the U.S. Green Building Council. We're following Passive House. It's a German program. Well, it started 20 years ago in Germany. Came here about 10 years ago. So we have Passive House U.S. We're doing Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Home, which is like the latest and greatest of Energy Star.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Energy Star version 3 is kind of like a small portion of that, which inside the program they also have Indoor Air Plus, they have Water Sense.
Okay.
So yeah, it's great. And they also actually, if you do Passive House, you can achieve DOE Zero Energy Ready very easily. That's part of that too. But we are doing parts of Living Building Challenge, so pedal certifications in that. And the well building standard, we're implementing aspects of the well building standard in the single family home, but you can't certify it because they don't have a certification for single family. They have multifamily and office certifications.
Okay.
So all these are wonderful. I think when you think about each one, they have all their great things involved with them. Like for example, the well building standard, since we are thinking of health and wellness in spaces, thinks about indoor air, it thinks about clean water, it thinks about our mind, our comfort in a space, and so knowing that indoor air and indoor spaces are challenging, this addresses a lot of that, and also thinks about our sleep health and color lighting in a home, natural day lighting. And
Wow.
yeah, so it goes pretty far. I know you know a lot about that. And,
Yeah.
and so, like, for example, Passive House, which is amazing in its own right for being the focus of energy efficiency, comfort, and durability. So we actually tuned this house in to be so well designed when it comes to energy usage and comfort and durability of materials that, you know, using the Passive House program does that. So it like does the nerdy stuff of getting climate data sets from your area, making it work for your climate zone, and creating a wall system, a roof, windows and doors, the whole envelope of the house to work in a manner that actually minimizes losses for your area, and then it maximizes comfort inside the space, and then it makes the building or the home last a lot longer because of the durability of it.
Wow. Okay. So how long have you been doing this?
I've grown up in construction, so
Okay.
I think it's probably 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, doing it at a young age, growing up, like my father, he was a civil and environmental engineer and also a builder, and so we were helping him, like my brothers and I were helping him since we were in elementary school, and I think my curiosity has always been there, and I asked my dad one time, we're playing in a basement of a house he built, and I was probably like 7 years old, like, or 8, I don't know. I said, Dad, why is it musty in here? He said, because I've tried to find materials that will stop moisture from coming in the basement, and I've even tried to invent things, but nothing has worked, but it's up to you to figure that out. And so he's kind of empowered, you know, me at a young age.
Wow.
To really improve and make things better and not be used to the way things are. And so when I think about green, I don't think about green in general or talk sustainability. These things are really what it comes down to is just the best building practices to make things work. And so, yeah, this is 23 years. I'd say that probably starts counting to when I was doing engineering school, because our engineering program, they implement like full-time co-op work in your studies. So it's a 5-year engineering degree. So half the year in school, half the year you're working full-time for companies.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
kind of started back at that point, but I grew up in it even before that.
Okay. Very cool. Why don't more people build like this?
It's a good question. I think maybe since we're here in Middle America in Kentucky, Mark Twain kind of said it best. You know, if the world were to end today, I'd move to Kentucky because they're 20 years behind everybody else.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So there's a little truth to that, and like the way we look at it is like, well, hey, that might be true, but we're going to make that not true. So we want to bring the world's best here and lead in Kentucky. But I'd say it's a little more challenging for people in our industry to grasp it, or to even want to learn it and do something different, because I think we're used to doing what code says to do, and code minimum sometimes is what builders do. Well, code minimum, unfortunately, is the worst legal way to build. You know, when building scientists is people, or just people in general that understand building and better building practices, know that's not enough to make a home perform. And I think it's a combination of things. So it's a combination of our industry just maybe doing what works for them. If it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. Maybe not wanting to take the time or not having enough time to learn or want to learn about better building practices to implement. There is a cost to spending time and learning, plus there is a cost to doing it right or doing better building practices. So when we complain about the homes not performing, it's not performing because it's missing some things.
Yeah.
It's missing the right amount of insulation. It's missing the proper air sealing. It's missing the right weather barriers, air barriers, vapor control layers. It's missing these things. It's missing the right types of windows and doors. So those things that are missing are costs that need to be added into it to make it perform. So there's the argument that it's like making homes no longer affordable, and so it's adding costs. So that's an argument that's out there. But in reality, the economics of it is that if you say that this added cost, you look at it as an investment, then that investment actually has an ROI, return of investment, of 5 times more to 10 times more the money you put in it over, a time of period of the house. So it's like, it's a true investment at that point. So there's a lot of challenges around it. And I mean, I think that even our country in general, with exception to maybe say West Coast, East Coast, and maybe some other parts of the country, is a little bit behind when it comes to the other world, when it comes to technologies and things like this, because Europe has been doing this for many, many years before us.
Yeah.
So, just a little time thing.
So how much more is it to have a house like this? Is it attainable for, the average person?
It is attainable. And so it's going to take more of us to be able to practice this, do it, and perfect a way of making it mainstream. And so there are some areas of construction that are, say, new scopes of work that aren't being done, so there's not really any trades doing this. So we have to take it on ourselves to do these things and self-perform some of them, like the weather barriers and air barriers that aren't familiar with people in our trades, or installing these types of windows and doors because they are triple pane, they're
Gotcha.
really heavy,
Yeah.
and they attach, and they have to go in a certain way with the wall system for the wall and the window to work together as a system. So these are all new things, but this is something that people can afford when we do learn how to do it and do it right. So on average, it might add on average maybe 10% more to the cost of a build.
Okay.
In some cases, on a bigger home, economies of scale, it might be like 5% more.
Okay.
A friend of ours did the house for the person that invented Excel spreadsheets
Oh, wow.
in Seattle, and so that house was a high. The cost of construction is more, cost of living is more, but the volume and the size of the house, that one only had 3% added costs because they were going with
Okay.
high-end finishes anyways. So in a case where it might be a smaller home, it might be above 10%, but again, those costs come back within 3 to 5 years of that investment. So we tell people on average 10% more. Now, taking a house like this house was a show home, so there's a lot more luxuries in the house. There's a lot more outdoor spaces in the house. It's an ultra custom home. So I mean, there are added costs here that don't reflect the real model. Like if you see a house that's typical that you see out there, that might look like any other home, we could take that home with just maybe like up to 10% more and make it perform, the way this one performs.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's great because I mean, most homes, if you think about it, is kind of a liability because you buy a house. If you get it with a mortgage, you're going to end up paying probably 2.5 times the cost of that home at the end of a 30-year mortgage, and it's like the house is not really an investment when you look at it on paper. It's kind of it's really liability.
Yeah.
But if you build a home or buy a home like this is a real investment because the sale price of this house actually in 30 years with a 30-year mortgage will be only like maybe half the cost of what you paid, or maybe less than 2/3 the cost of what you paid initially. That's even with a 30-year mortgage.
Wow.
So this house actually works for you and it pays you back.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. And having a set cost for energy bills of an average $12 a month is a great way to help plan for future finances.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's so awesome. Would you mind giving us a tour?
I would love to give you the nickel and dime tour.
All right. Well, thanks.